Reversi, instructions and rules. Reversi is played on an 8x8 uncheckered board with 64 game pieces. Each disc has two sides. One is white and the other is black. Place two discs with the white side up and two with the black side up in the center of the board like this. Take 28 discs and place them on one side of the board and place the other 28 on the other side. All the discs are identical, so it doesn't matter who gets which. One player will play using the black side of the discs and the other player will play using the white sides of the discs. The player with black always moves first. The object of the game is to have the most discs with your color face up on the board after the last move. One of the great things about Reversi is that the lead can change lots of times, even on the last move. On each turn there's only one type of move you can make. You place a disc with your color face up so that you trap one or more of your opponent's discs between your old disc and the new disc you are adding to the board. You'll then get to flip over every one of your opponent's discs that's in a continuous straight line, horizontally, vertically, or diagonally, between the disc you played and every other disc of your color. So for example, if you play a disc here, you'll get to flip over all of the discs in between the disc you played and this disc. And if you play a disc here, you get to flip over these discs and these discs. Remember, you can only flip over discs that are in a straight line. There are only a few more rules you'll need to know before you can get started. First, if you can't make a move which traps your opponent's disc, you lose your turn. This is called a pass, and your opponent gets to make more moves until you can make your own move. Also, if at any point you can make a move, you must play it. Next, when you flip over discs, you don't get to flip over discs which are trapped in between the disc you've just flipped and other discs you already had on the board. You only get to flip discs that are in a straight line between the disc you just played and a disc that was already on the board. You must flip over all of the discs that can be flipped, even if it's not to your advantage to do so. Once you've played a disc, it can't be moved. If you run out of discs but can still make a move, your opponent has to give you a disc. The game ends when neither you nor your opponent can play another move. Usually, every space on the board is filled, but it's possible that there will be some empty spaces. Count up the number of discs with your color face up. The player with the most is the winner.